Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. As I mentioned in the daily financial news from this Saturday, we had an extra special guest coming on at 9:30. Here we go, Mr. Philip. How you doing, sir?
Great. Nice to meet you, Mike. Glad to be on the show.
Thank you, buddy. We're going to do 3 episodes together, folks. You're going to want to watch each of them. We're going to start off, Philip, with why you reached out to this old guy after watching one of his videos. So what was it? What was the topic? What'd you see? And why'd you do it? It was very well done.
Yeah, man. So just in general, you talk about how as a young guy, you need to kind of get into real estate early. Bigger Pockets was a very huge influence on me at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, they've kind of changed to where it's more huge, trying to make everybody this syndicator,
Yeah.
And so I like the fact that you're kind of bringing people back to the basis, which is single family and just you can do real estate on any level.
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, right. It's kind of funny, right? Bigger Pockets was a huge part of my journey, so much so that I was a featured blog article, which meant I posted once a week. I was a featured speaker at the first event in Denver. And I left Bigger Pockets actually when Brandon Turner came on as a, I don't know, whatever he was called, not an employee. Right when he showed up, he took over the blogs and he was a pain in the ass. So I'm like, I can't deal with you. I'm out of here. Because I had a job and he was implementing all these rules. I'm like, I have a job. I'm building a realtor portfolio. And yeah, I've gone back to Bigger Pockets a little bit. And they basically, I think, got bought by private equity. They got bought because of the publishing business, books.
Huh.
And that's what they do. They're basically a platform to sell books now and build up personas and raise money. It's not what I knew it as. Back in the beginning, right? Jay Scott and all of these guys, Tom Avnet or something, was just doing singles, man. Just they were flipping, I was holding. They're
like Apple. They become the establishment now.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, man. And I have no interest in doing those big things. Maybe I'm an idiot for leaving all that money on the table, but I got enough. I want to help the little guy. I want to help the person get started. The biggest thing for me, for people, is if you get to 4, dude, life changes. Let's worry about that. If you get to 4 and you want to go bigger, go for it. But let's do 4, not 4,000. Drives me crazy. So
the other reason I reached out, just because I felt like I would be a good example of someone that just started small. I don't really have a huge leg up in the business. I'm not really a guy that swings a hammer. I don't come from money, just a regular dude.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I kind of wanted to give someone a spreadsheet so then they could actually see how it would work, rather than just the talking about it. So
yeah, so folks, pay attention. To Philip's going to actually share his spreadsheet. Look at essentially his balance sheet, inventory of real estate, buys and sells. That will be episode number 2. But let's wrap up on episode 1. So you start this journey in your early 20s. How old were you when you got your first house? Bought your first property?
So I was 23 years old. I did not know that I was going to get into rentals. I bought my primary residence, at a very reasonable income level, as far as the payment goes.
Yeah.
Which is a good first step. Mm-hmm. And then later turned that one into a rental.
So so again, I think this is really important because you were 23 years old and you bought your first. So if you remember how much was it? 100 grand? What was it roughly?
So it was just under actually $70,000, which is kind of blows my mind of the prices now. But that payment at that point, I think I was making around $30K. So, it was about 25% of my income as far as payment goes. So it's very reasonable at that time.
So what state was this? Sorry.
This is in Tennessee. I'm out of Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Okay, great. So 70K, 23. And was this a 3.5% down, 10%? What'd you get in?
So I put down, I think 5%. And that doesn't include closing costs. Closing costs were a little bit beyond that, but I put down 5%, which was around, look at my spreadsheet here, was around $3,500.
Yeah. So you were probably all in on the first, like your primary for like $6,000 ish.
That's right.
Okay. And how long did it take you to save $6,000? Just curious. People need to hear this.
The only leg up I got compared to other people was my family taught me, the value of hard work. So I had a lawn business growing up. I did college and worked at the same time. So, I was basically just looking for the right deal around 21. It took me a few years to find it and stuff. So,
I hope people heard that. You were ready to go at 21. You were doing the work, finding the deal. And again, this isn't whole one rental at a time. This is Philip just going, I want a house, but I want the right deal. And
That's right.
2 years later, you found it. You wrote the offer, you got the deal. I hope people hear this stuff because again, it takes time. It takes time for everyone. It's slow for everyone. This is not get rich quick. This is get rich for sure. I hope people are paying attention. So you get the first house. It's a primary. When do you make a jump to being a landlord on purpose?
So, and even the next step is still not quite on purpose. I'm getting closer.
Okay.
The next step was a second primary.
Okay.
But then, I grew up in a family where they're all Dave Ramsey, you have to pay everything cash and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Very, very frugal.
Yeah.
And so in other words, my immediate family had a kind of a hard time hearing this, but I was like, you know what? I think if I'm going to do rentals, it makes sense for me to turn my previous primary into a rental.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
Pretty easy. So it's baby steps. It's just what's the next step? What's the next step?
Exactly.
And so if you said, well, for Philip, at 20, you're going to have two houses at 24 or 5 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That seems bigger, and then it keeps getting bigger and bigger. But if you just say, well, the next step is X, it doesn't seem very difficult.
Exactly. It took me so long to figure that out as I try to inspire others to get started. You talk about having 100 plus or 200 or whatever it is. They get excited for you. They're legitimately happy, but then they go to their cars and they say, we can't do it because of X. I am never talking about that again. I'm talking about 4 because it's believable. Like, can you get to 4 in a decade? I haven't met anybody that said no. That's good. Let's do that. Exactly. Right. So this is fun. So
I met a kid.
Go ahead.
I met a kid this week at investors meetup in Chattanooga, and he had 100 units with a partner at 21 years old. And I was just like, right. So anyway, let me walk you through the next step of my journey. So we got, you got the first 2. And then, so then I was like, okay, I have a rental. It's going well. I have my primary. And then I said, okay, well, let's try a flip. So I had a friend that had a house for sale. So I offered him what I considered was a lowball offer. Turns out it wasn't a lowball offer. Ended up spending, 3 months and probably 40 hours a week on top of my regular job to lose 5,000 to 10,000. So, that's just the next step in my journey. But I wouldn't trade that knowledge for the world now. But my wife and I always refer back to that house as we're not going to do another one of those deals for sure.
Yeah.
Not going to do another Altamira. Altamira was the name of the street. We're not doing another Altamira.
That it's funny how you build up these sayings. It's like Altamira, nope, not doing another one of those. Yeah, that's awesome. So what was this?
So I'm basically made up my mind. I'm never going to offer. I'm sorry, Mike, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're never going to offer.
There's a delay. We're never going to do that kind of a tight, ultra tight deal again, unless it's like a long-term deal. I haven't flipped any more houses ever since then. So anyway.
Yeah. Finding a deal is so hard these days. Don't flip. In fact, I flipped a bunch the last 2 years just because I could. I wish I kept them all. And the sad thing is I could have kept them all. So bad. So
hindsight's always.
Yeah. Tell me about the first house again. What did it end up renting for?
So the first house ended up renting for $900 a month. And my payment was, I believe, like $550, $500, somewhere in that range. The numbers, it's so crazy because those numbers nowadays are just insane, but yeah, so I was making $300 or $400 a month, and it was a very clean, simple, easy place. Mm-hmm. It felt like mailbox money, in the sense of like very passive. I had a few turnovers, but nothing big. So I was like, this rental thing seems like it's going to work.
There you go.
So it proved the model.
Do you still have it today, or is that one of the ones you may have sold?
So that is one of the ones I sold, and I've basically said I'm never selling in the sense of only reason I would sell is just to trade up.
Yeah.
So in that sense, you're kind of never selling, even though you are selling.
Yeah.
And plus I was using the tax advantage of, because it was my primary, never had to pay taxes on it. I wanted to go in to sell it while I had the chance, because then it was within 2 of the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And actually ended up doing that on my second primary, as I did the same thing. Cause I was just like, you know what, it's hard. the second primary ended up being up 89,000. I'm just looking at the spreadsheet too. And on the second house, I said, I never want to pay taxes on that. I'm gonna go and sell that one too.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And if you don't know what he's talking about, folks, something that in the IRS tax code is if you lived in your primary home for 2 of the last 5 years, you could sell it. And if you're married, as Philip is, you could actually have $500,000 in gains and pay 0 taxes. It's one of the largest tax loopholes. Tax loopholes out there. So go get you some of that good money. So let's fast forward a little bit. Where are we today when we pull up the spreadsheet in episode number 2? Are we still, moving every couple of years? Is this what it is, or what's in your portfolio now?
So the overall view right now of my portfolios, I'm generating about $5,000 in free cash flow per month. That is net. And that's after it's 8 years from the time I did my first purchase of a primary, which it's really only been 4 years of me really being intent on the rental portion. So that's the net good result for me at the end of the day. And it's fortunately for me, it's just the beginning of my journey. I may be on a different trajectory than the 21-year-old at 800 units, but I feel like for an average guy doing average things, not knowing a ton about houses and all that stuff, it's a solid result. And I want to continue that.
Oh, dude, you are underplaying it. You know how many people people watching this, 5,000 a month? 5,000 a month is freedom for, I don't know, what do you want to guess? 90% of the country?
I'm very close to my financial freedom number. It's not financial independence, but I'm very close to my financial independence number, at least.
Yeah. Dude, Philip, that is amazing. I'm so excited for you. That is awesome. Any kind of last word? First off, thank you for reaching out. We're going to get into the spreadsheet next. Any kind of closing thoughts or pieces of advice for other millennials or other people thinking about getting started?
Yeah, man. I just think everyone needs to just take that first step, whether that be talking to the bank about refining your current house to then have money available. But it's usually, again, if you look at the end result, it's usually crazy of difficulty. But if you just do one, then just do the next step today, and then don't push it off. That's the net thing I like to leave everybody with.
Yeah, and as I wrap up this one, again, if you want to tell your story, you have a good story of encouragement, you can reach out to me. Instagram's probably the easiest. You can DM me on Facebook as well, I guess. I'm not sure. Instagram's easiest. Or you can email me off my website. I'd love to hear it. Love to share other positive stories. Philip, thank you for doing this. I look forward to episode number 2, where we pull up the spreadsheet. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Mike.